It was fantastic. First and foremost, the game was fantastic. I'm a neutral, not a Villa fan, not an Arsenal fan. I loved it. End to end. The referee let most things flow. I love that part of the match today. I thought it was fantastic. Where I'm criticising Arsenal the most today, just put the last minute loss aside for a moment. And I know it's hard for a Gooner to do that because you're emotionally invested and it's very raw right now. But I felt that Arsenal in the first half played into Aston Villa's hands. I put out a tweet when it was 1-0 and sort of said, well worked goal, unstoppable shot from Matty Cash, deserved 1-0 lead. And I had a barrage of responses which were, what do you mean deserved? How was that deserved? It didn't matter to me that you had the territory. You played into Villa's hands in the first half. You were pushing your fullbacks up. Villa sat a man or two in the wide areas, and they kept on having a player, normally Rodgers, who would sit behind your midfielders you were pushing up. They were very brave. So they didn't do what most teams do against Arsenal, where they camp 11 men behind the ball, stink out the place. It was often, including their goalkeeper, 8 players behind the ball with 3 outlets. And they consistently had really good counter-attacks. If it hadn't been for David Raya today, both in the first half with a save against Ollie Watkins, I think he saved against Ollie Watkins just before he got substituted in the second half as well, it could have been a very different result. And Aston Villa counter-attacked brilliantly. The only element that annoyed me was going, why didn't Aston Villa do this against Liverpool? If Aston Villa played this way against Liverpool a few weeks ago, they would have battered them, but they didn't. But I thought Aston Villa got their game plan very, very right in the first half, took a deserved 1-0 lead, and were the better team in terms of executing your plan. If you're someone that views football through the spectrum of whoever has the most ball and completes the most passes is the best team, that's your right. I just disagree. Second half was different. The fullbacks actually didn't push up and invert as high. They kept the width a little bit more. The substitutions were correct. I thought Marino and Eze had absolute stinkers in the first half, not just with their movement, but on the ball, bad touches, losing possession, etc. Trossard comes on, and we'll get on to him and his goal in a minute, but I actually think Gyökeres gave you more of a focal point. And with the fullbacks helping out more in a wide area, you were able to pin Villa back for the first 15 to 20 minutes of the second half. Part of that was Arsenal. Part of it is still the one part of Unai Emery I don't like. And that is he gets these 1-0 leads and he becomes too passive, which is why I don't think he'll ever work for him at a big club. But Arsenal got themselves back into the game brilliantly. A very, very well-worked goal. One of those goals where I always feel sorry for Saka because you don't get the GA, you don't get the assist because there was a very slight deflection on the cross. Yet, I'm not taking nothing away from Bruno. I love him. Bruno plays on almost on a knock, like a little 2-yard pass to the side. Mount scores a screamer and you get the assist for it. Sometimes I look at football and think, how is one of them an assist and the other one isn't? They've at least both got to be assists, right? But it was a well-worked goal. And then it became a basketball match. Villa then went for it again. Villa were leaving a player or two up. They were taking risks. They were committing players forward. And it became a match for the remaining, for me, 25 minutes of the game that either team could have won. Arsenal, some excellent shots. I mean, Odegaard, the shot from Odegaard that was saved by Emi Martinez, absolutely brilliant. There was a corner. I wrote it all down here, actually. Aston Villa put a lot of pressure on. Kamara should have scored, by the way, when they caught them out of the back. Raya then saving the Watkins chance. At the other end, Odegaard had a wonder save, which led to a corner. Well-executed corner. Falls to Saka. Ball cleared off the line by Kamara to keep Aston Villa in the game. And then late on, though, and I know that Martinelli came on. Trossard was injured. I get why Calafiori came off. But I feel Arsenal as a team were between a rock and a hard place. Do we go for the win or do we try and see this out? And I think Villa capitalised. I wrote in big letters here, on the ropes. Because I felt in the last 10 minutes of the game, Arsenal were on the ropes a little bit. And at that point, maybe it would have been better to have sat in. But you did carry on attacking. There were spaces there. And it was just one of those games today where too many players, and I didn't think in the second half Nketiah or Timber had bad games overall, but it was in moments. You almost conceded an own goal where Timber doesn't need to come in and make that challenge because Raya's going to pick it up easily. These moments help build the anxiety and the pressure. They give the home supporters a little bit of an injection of enthusiasm. That puts adrenaline into the legs of the Villa players. And then the goal right at the end. The goal right at the end for me sort of stemmed from what I saw happen multiple times in this game for Arsenal today. A bad touch here and a bad touch there. Nkapé's under no real pressure. Just keep hold of the ball, put it down the line, and see the game out. But he takes a heavy touch and he gives a throw-in away. He gives that throw-in away, and you could just see Arsenal scrambling. Villa committed lots of players forwards into that attack, and there was 2 or 3 chances just to boot the ball clear, old-fashioned, get it away, get in, as we'd shout on a Sunday League football pitch. Get the ball out, take your point. Trossard had won you a point in the game. Go away, lick your wounds. You've got Wolves next in the league. You're going to battle Wolves, by the way. You're going to battle Wolves. You're going to be like a caged animal playing a wolf. But you know what I mean? You're going to come back. But you couldn't. And then the irony of football, the scripting of football is a thing of beauty. Emi Buendia that Arsenal chased and just couldn't get hold of. I think Villa actually signed him ahead of you. I'm not saying you guys regret it, but it's the backstory. Bangs in a winner with the last kick of the game. And Aston Villa, look, some will say a draw was deserved. I don't think it's unfair that Aston Villa won the game. It was a bad day in the office for Arsenal. But, and I will say this, there is criticism for Arsenal today. Do I personally think this is the beginning of Arsenal's downfall? No. They've had 3 very tough away games on the bounce. The results haven't been what Arsenal wanted. I've criticised them in each of those games for things that they or the manager have done wrong. I'm not convinced Arsenal are going to collapse from this point. Some people may see it differently. Cannot wait to read your comments. Cannot wait to hear what it is that you've got to say. But this is one of those moments where I think what Arsenal need are their fans to, yes, criticise them and hold them to account, but you don't need to become abusive. You don't need to become nasty. You don't need to laugh at your own football club. I don't think you need to throw baby out with the bathwater. Arsenal never do well in that environment. It's not good for you. It's kind of like your kryptonite. They need an arm round the shoulder and not a switch across the back of their legs. Just, again, my opinion from an outsider looking in because I'm not emotionally invested. On today's game, though, Aston Villa, a massive congratulations to them. Up until the goal from Trossard today, it was 6 hours without conceding at home. It's 5 wins on the bounce. They're 3 points off the top. And they've done that with losing players and spending almost no money this summer. Unai Emery is a coach who I've had a lot of criticism for in the past, and I stand on a lot of that criticism. I always think he's perfect at clubs the size of Villa, with the expectations of an Aston Villa. I think when he goes any bigger, it can get a little funny. A few people in the comments today, Terry, do you think they're in the title race? Can they win the league? No, I don't think Unai Emery can, but I'm not going to take anything away from them. Fantastic performance again from them. It's become a horrible place for teams to go. And, you know, beaten City there. They've beaten Arsenal there now this season. And it just goes to show that early season form can turn around. Look, as ever, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions below. And I can't wait to read them. Thank you.